You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. We're back. We're back, Ryan.
We're back.
We're damn back.
We are back.
It's 2025.
Yikes, that doesn't feel like a real year, does it?
I think 2025 is going to be the best year ever because, 21, 22, 23, 24, you don't really feel it in 25.
Now we're in it.
2025. It seems like it's going to be a good year, just the sound of it.
I'm thinking so.
I think everyone's going to have a great year. This is going to be your year, our year. Thanks for supporting the podcast and coming back. If you're listening, that means you've come back and you're supporting us still. And, we got through the holidays and, it was a lot. It was, I went through surgery and still dealing with recovering and went through withdrawal. That's real, guys. Wean yourself off stuff. And then my grandma passed. And then, so it's been a lot, but new beginnings, my friend. New beginnings.
Do you remember the Chop and Broccoli sketch?
No.
From SNL with Dana Carvey?
No.
Where he's like some sort of pop star who comes into the exec's office and they're like, well, okay, we want to hear some snippets from the new album, and he has no ideas. So he's making it up on the spot.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of the songs is New Beginnings, New Beginnings. And he's like, he just like synthesizes blaring. Yeah. He's like,
everybody's going to tune in and check that out.
I hope so.
I'm sure they will. Big year coming. We're doing the Smallville cruise in June. So go to cruiseville.com. What else? We're doing the big con in Chicago. This January 11th coming up. Tom and I will be in New Orleans. We'll be in Atlanta this year. We'll be in Orlando MegaCon in February. Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath is out there if you want to get something for your dog's breath. The Talented Farter is out. I went to a Barnes & Noble this holiday at the Grove. Yeah, and I went in there and I was like, you don't happen to have this book? They go, well, we have one left, and we found it. And I was like, oh my gosh. It's just cool when you go into a bookstore like Barnes & Noble and your book's there. It made me smile.
Did you sign it?
No, I did not sign it.
That's something I've seen.
Really?
A lot. Yeah. Like, celebrities who have their book in store, they'll just sort of go in and they'll sign their book.
Oh, like a signing.
Yeah. Oh, no, just like go secretly sign a copy of the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can they do that?
I mean, I've seen it done.
Oh, I should have done it because there was only one copy left. But I didn't sign it. Yeah. I didn't think I could do that. It didn't occur to me. But it's funny. I saw my friend Ken Marino, who was a guest on the podcast, and I saw John Gries from Napoleon Dynamite and White Lotus, and he was so very kind. Ooh, he was so very kind. We talked for a minute. And so all that stuff and more. It's going to be a big year. I'm on the Instagram. If you want to go on my link tree, you'll see all the cons coming up. And what else? Cameo. My cameo. Did a lot of cameos this Christmas. Did you have a good Christmas?
Lovely Christmas with my family.
Didn't you play music with your dad?
I did, yeah.
How was that?
It's great.
Did you mess up?
No. But I was stood because it was the church choir, so I was stood too close to the Advent candles, and I thought I was going to burn the guitar.
Are you serious?
They didn't have enough room. Yeah, no, it was nice though.
Were you nervous?
No, it's a small thing. It's like it's a little
20 people,
just like a little town. Yeah, everyone. My parents could they're basically like the mayors of the town. They know everybody.
I love that,
and they've only been living there like a few years. It's crazy. It's awesome.
That's cool. And hey, guys, thank you all to the patrons who support this podcast. And if you want to join, if you like Elijah Wood and you like the podcast, please listen. Please subscribe if you think I do a good job at interviewing. I'd appreciate it if you followed us and wrote a review and kept listening. And if you want to go the extra step and support this podcast and keep it going, go to Patreon, patreon.com/insideofyou, and join Patreon and become a patron and support the podcast. We need you. So every little bit counts. Elijah Wood. I've been trying to get this guy on this podcast for 3 years. Dominic Monaghan, Sean Astin, Billy Boyd, all the Lord of the Rings characters. They were all
Merry and Pippin.
They were all the hobbits.
Hobbits.
And they all were trying to get him. And I walked on a plane about a couple months ago, and all of a sudden I hear, I'm doing your podcast. Give me a break. And I looked around. I go, what? And it was Elijah giving me shit. So he finally came over to the house, and wasn't he delightful?
Yeah.
He was such a sweet guy, and he's a movie star, and so talented and so sweet and humble, and I loved having him on. And it's guests like this that I get excited about. And so hopefully we'll have more like that. But Elijah talks about everything, and we're just going to get into it. Let's get inside of Elijah Wood. It's my point of view. You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum was not recorded in front of a live studio audience. I don't get nervous. I actually like going under.
I do too.
I do. It's fun because it's like, I don't really drink. I don't do a lot of, I just pot, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, well,
it's sort of a psychedelic experience.
Yeah. Can I feel it for a little while? Can I just feel it? And the last time my doctor's like, yeah. And afterwards I go, you didn't let me feel it. He goes, check your phone. And I checked my phone, and there was like 5 minutes of me going, hey, how's everybody doing? I don't remember.
But you just didn't have any recollection
I had no recollection. Have you had surgeries?
I've had a couple. Yeah, I had an appendectomy.
Was it an emergency one?
Yep.
How painful? Before?
Extremely painful.
What happened?
The most painful thing I've ever experienced. My appendix burst. And I had been feeling... I had been feeling some stomach issues, for about maybe even the month prior to it exploding.
And you didn't do anything about it. You just took Tums and shit.
I didn't do anything about it because I didn't know what it was. And it wasn't severe. Like the warning signs, which typically for people, if you've got appendicitis, the warning signs are it's severe. It's like bad pain enough that you get some attention.
Yeah, yeah.
And I had a funny sort of stomach thing that was somewhat pervasive, and then it kind of went away. And it was unclear what it was, and it seemingly disappeared. And then like a week later, it came back, and it was just kind of getting worse. But nothing about it felt localized or specific enough.
So you just thought it was
acute, right?
It was just going to go away.
I thought it was going to go away. And I thought I had like digestive issues. I didn't know what it was because I wasn't sick otherwise, right? So it was just sort of in my abdomen. And then I was having difficult for about a day and a half to 2 days. I was having difficulty sort of standing upright. So it was bad enough that like the stretching of it was right.
Right.
So I remember I had to go to the restroom, and I went into that room. I was still living at home, and it burst, and I dropped to my knees in like the most.
You thought you were going to die
to
right
that point, the most unimaginable pain I'd ever felt. Like it was just white heat pain. Couldn't speak. I remember my mom called 911 or not 911, called a doctor. And I tried to articulate to the doctor what was happening to me. And I couldn't breathe.
Right.
It was that bad. So then I went to that was the worst. And then went to the emergency room, and yeah, it was an emergency surgery.
They knew exactly. You're probably scared. You didn't know what the hell was going on with you.
No idea. Yeah, I mean, at that point, there's only so many things it can be.
But you said, to that point, it was the most pain you've had. So you're telling me you've had worse pain since then?
No, I've not. No, that's it.
I was like, holy crap. Wait a minute. You exceeded that?
Listen, man.
I've been through hell.
No, that's it. That's it.
You know, I was, I thank Dom and Sean and Billy for, saying, do his podcast. And you're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it.
It was Dom's insistence.
It was
for
Dom.
real, yeah.
I thank Dom. And Dom was, I'm like, do you want me to ask him anything? And of course, Sean just had one thing to say. But,
you said you spoke to Sean. Sean is the best.
But Dom said something like, do you remember partying with him and Billy in New Zealand? It was the first time you really were drinking.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, effectively. I mean, look, I went to New Zealand. It was August of 1999 is when a bunch of us were flying out and pre-production began in earnest. I was 18.
Jeez.
It was to be my first, and it was the first time that I was ever away from home for more than a few months by myself. Because I think by 17, I went out on my own to work on a film for the first time. Because prior to that, I was with my mom.
Right.
So from 8 until about 17, she was with me the whole time. But this was different. I was going to be in New Zealand for 16 months. There were 2 kind of production breaks where we broke for Christmas. I think there was another like mid-production break as well.
That's a lot, man.
It's a lot. It's a long time.
Yeah.
So, I was about to embark on living as an adult for the first time in my life. And the drinking age in New Zealand, I think, was
12.
I think it was 18 at the time. It was either 18 or 19. But anyway, yeah,
Right.
I had certainly had alcohol before, but this was the first time that I was like out drinking with friends.
And Dom and Billy don't drink
adult.
lightly. When they go, they go.
At the time, no.
So
At the
they weren't
time,
great
no.
influences, were they?
They were great. They were great.
I know.
No, they were great. But it was, I was having my first adult experiences in that regard and kind of just living freely, it was great. And I couldn't have asked for a better group of people to be doing that with,
Right. Yeah. Who
People
got the most girls in New Zealand, Dom wants to know.
Is that what Dom asked?
Dom asked. Apparently it was him.
Well, yeah.
If he's going to ask that,
I mean,
you
come
don't
on.
say, who's got the best arm out of all our friends
of
when
course
it's not you.
Of course it's Dom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says that the four hobbits still do the New York Times mini every day.
We do it every day. Yeah.
I do it too, but I'm not as good as you guys. It takes me a while. Sometimes it's quick, like a minute or a minute and a half.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, I'm an idiot. I can't get this. If it's current event stuff like current music,
Yeah.
done. Can't do it. I'm stuck.
If it's something current music, it's hard for me as well.
Do you get it pretty fast? Who's the smartest?
I don't listen. It's not smartest, Michael. It's not smartest. It's there is the thing about the crossword is there is and a seasoned crossword person would tell you this. There is certainly like current events and sort of general knowledge, right? That feeds into it. Word knowledge, for instance, like the name of a certain kind of sword for fencing, right? That comes up a lot. EPEE.
Yes.
Ton
What's
of
the
times.
pronunciation of that?
I think it's epi.
Epi, like a pen?
I think it's a French word.
Right.
The point is, once you start doing the crossword more and more, it's got its own language. And you just start to see
Right.
similar clues, similar words that end up being used as filler to be able to get certain words across.
I know what you're saying.
So you
Yes.
just start to see these
Start to
things
get-
that help to open up the board a little bit.
Do you do the main crossword too?
I do, but not with the degree of consistency that I do.
Do you usually finish it?
I can finish up to about Wednesday. I'm not great. Like,
I'm not.
there are certain people. I think Ryan Johnson does Monday through Sunday and finishes them all. I can't do that. It's really hard. But I think it's one of those things that the more you plug away at it, it's not so much about your general kind of
Knowledge,
pop culture
right.
knowledge. It's just that you start to see similar
yeah.
clues, similar answers that end up kind of feeding into the puzzles.
Dom says, what can Sean, Billy, and Dom do better than you? What comes to mind? What can they do better than you? Drink, I assume.
What can they do better than me? I mean, plenty of things. I think Sean he's a really great public speaker. Like that guy has no fear in that regard. Like he'll stand in front of a group of people and orate, and that's a comfortable place for him to be. And he thrives in that space, not the attention, but he thrives on the tradition of it. He obviously loves politics. He loves sort of standing for something.
He does.
There's certainly a link there with his character with Samwise. I think all of the work that he did with SAG. He is not afraid to put himself in front of a lot of people with a cause or a belief, and orate and speak. He's great. I find that
Terrifying.
Yeah, public speaking. It's funny, like in the context of, for instance, which you're familiar with, like a Q&A. That's easy for me.
It's easy. You're just answering questions.
It's a safe room. I'm happy to get up in front of people and not necessarily lead the floor, but like have a conversation. That's easy. But standing in front of people with a speech or with something to say,
it's a skill.
It is a
real
skill,
skill.
and I'm not particularly great at it. It's not my favorite. Billy, what about just trying to? I mean,
Billy.
Billy's certainly funnier than I am. Billy, I think, has the distinction of the four of us for being, even more than maybe me, the most positive individual.
He seems that way. I was going to say that. He's just
unflinchingly to the point where it's almost
annoying.
Not annoying. It's just it's active positivity. I think he doesn't want to. He wants to stamp out any kind of negative energy. So I love that about him.
Yeah.
Dom. I mean, listen. Dom has a relationship to animals and to the wild and to that world that I don't have, that I love and admire, and a knowledge of it. It's extraordinary. It is a hyper skill of his that he's very, very good at.
You just said said things about each individual that they have certain skills at that you just immediately.
Sure.
And those are good skills to have.
They are, yeah.
Being the positive person, someone, who's really good with animals and has a knowledge of that, someone who's a public speaker. What would you say your gift is?
Oh man.
You're one of the nicest guys I've ever met. And,
thank you.
But it's obvious. And somewhere it was written that some autograph magazine said that you were the top 10 autograph givers,
right?
I guess in terms of kindness or whatever. And I saw it firsthand, like at an airport when these guys crowd you and then they go away, but they come back and pretend they're someone else. And you're even like because you know what they're doing.
I do. I've become less patient with it, and I
well, it is a little
and
annoying.
I feel bad about it because I never.
Well, you shouldn't feel bad because I see what you do. You give the autograph and you go, here you go, and then they come back and go, I just gave you one.
I know.
And you're asking for me to sign another blank piece of paper. I just did that. So, okay. All right. Fine. And
their methodology in that scenario is to overwhelm so that you don't see that they're just rotating.
Right. It's a lot. You're like, whoa.
It's intense. It's gotten intense. I'm sure you've noticed it now. A lot of them will buy tickets so that they can actually be in the main terminal of airports.
It's unbelievable. It's like you are about to board a plane and they're there with you.
No escape.
Like, how is that legal? How are they able to buy a ticket?
A ticket they don't use. They don't.
And then they just refund it?
I don't know. I don't know how they do it. And they also obviously get tipped off. But yes, I have that. I do have that reputation. I would say that I have probably fallen in their estimation,
right?
in the subsequent years a little bit. My patience has worn a little bit thin.
Well, especially I would assume when you're with your family, when your wife and child.
That actually is super helpful because
she's probably steps in.
No, I make it a policy. Like I'm with my family. Sorry, which is a really easy way to sort of say, look, I'm going to diffuse this right away. We don't even have to haggle. I'm with my family, and that's just my policy, which feels great.
But just one right here.
Sorry, I'm with my family.
Okay,
No,
that's admirable.
But aside from that, which is a very specific look, those people, they make a living getting autographs from folks and then selling them. That's the whole thing.
Great for them.
But I would never deny someone who is a genuine fan or who doesn't have an ulterior motive.
Yeah. Inside of You is brought to you by Quints. Guys, you want to talk comfort at affordable prices? Quints. When it comes to winter, it's like survival of the fittest out there, and I'm willing to do or buy whatever I can to stay cozy. For the ultimate cold weather necessities made from premium materials, Ryan, you've got to check out Quints.
With Quints, you can treat yourself to true quality at an affordable price.
Something everyone needs in their closet. Quints' iconic Mongolian cashmere sweaters, which start at $50.
Their super soft fleece sweatpants are a major upgrade to whatever you're lounging in right now.
And their wind-resistant responsible down jackets are perfect for keeping warm.
No matter what you're looking for, all Quints items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands.
I've never heard of cashmere sweaters at $50. I mean, this is ridiculous.
That's awesome.
That is completely awesome. By partnering directly with top factories and cutting out the cost of the middleman, Quints passes the savings on to you.
Quints only works with factories that use ethical and responsible manufacturing practices.
Yes, and they use premium fabrics and finishes for that luxury feel in every piece. Something everyone needs in their closet, and I got this, and let me tell you, comfort. It's Quints' iconic Mongolian cashmere sweater, which starts at $50. I couldn't believe this when I saw it, and it is so freaking comfortable and soft, and you're going to be bragging in front of your friends. It's amazing. Luxuriate in coziness without the luxury price tag. Go to quince.com/inside for a 365-day returns, plus free shipping on your order. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/inside to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Wow. Quince.com/inside. Inside of You is brought to you by Rocket Money. Boy, Rocket Money has not only saved Ryan here money, but it's saved tons of people out there, my patrons, people all over the world. And I think everybody should have this app. The start of a new year is the perfect time to get organized, set goals, and prioritize what matters most. For me, a top priority is my financial wellness, which feels more important than ever. And thanks to Rocket Money, my goals feel achievable. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. They show me all of my subscriptions right in one place, help me easily cancel ones that I forgot I've been paying for. Rocket Money also pulls together all of my spending across all of my different accounts so I can clearly track my spending habits and see where I can cut back. I mean, how many times, we talk about this all the time, do you get a streamer, you know, like Fubu or whatever the heck it is, and you get it because you want to watch this one show, but then you forget to cancel it after that, and then you're paying every month. With Rocket Money, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you sign up for something, forget about it after the trial period ends, and then you're charged month after month after month. The subscriptions are there, but you're not using them.
Yeah, I just learned that 85% of people have at least one paid subscription going unused each month. That's insanity. Thanks to Rocket Money, I can see all my subscriptions in one place and cancel the ones I'm not using anymore. And now I'm saving more money.
Rocket Money's dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all of your accounts.
Easily create a personalized budget with custom categories to help keep your spending on track. See your monthly spending trends in each category to know exactly where your money is going.
Get alerts if bills increase in price, there's unusual spending activity, or if you're close to going over budget.
Yeah, you know what I love? Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lowering your bills. They automatically scan your bills to find opportunities to save. Then you can ask them to negotiate for you, and they'll deal with customer service. So guess what? You don't have to. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and have saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/inside today. That's rocketmoney.com/inside. rocketmoney.com/inside. My friend Ethan says, tell me about Over the Garden Wall.
Oh.
He just says, yeah, you have to ask him about that. So I said, fine, I'll ask him.
Fine, I'll ask him.
Fine. I don't know of it, so I want to see this.
Oh, I'm excited for you. Over the Garden Wall is a mini series that aired on Cartoon Network 10 years ago. 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
November 3rd, actually. So we've just hit our 10th anniversary. It was created by Patrick McHale, who hails from Adventure Time. It started out as a short film that then sprung from that I think a 10-episode story about two brothers who are lost in the unknown, trying to find their way home, and about the various encounters that they have along the way. It's extremely autumnal in terms of its visual style. It's falling leaves, a lot of oranges and greens and browns. It employs classic storytelling of the lost characters looking to find their way back, and the sort of winding journey that they go on. It's about two brothers. It's incredibly delightful. It's filled with incredible music by the Blasting Company, who did the score. It sort of plays upon our sense of collective nostalgia, both for that time of year, but also for imagery from the past that it's certainly influenced by.
You're really passionate about this project. You love this. Something dear to your heart.
I love it. Melanie Linsky's in it. Christopher Lloyd does a voice.
Oh.
It's so great. So they, it's the 10th anniversary. So it's been getting a little bit of attention, and actually Aardman Entertainment, the folks behind Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, they just did a sort of stop motion short as a means of celebrating the 10th anniversary. So we sort of reprised the characters and brought them back to life again for it.
Ethan will be happy for
good.
that response. I mean, look, you know this, but you've done so many things. You've been doing this a long time, and you're not even old.
No, I mean, no.
I mean, you're still a young guy, but I mean, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, I mean, Eternal Sunshine, Happy Feet, Good Son, Flipper, The Faculty, Oxford Murders, Wilfred, Come to Daddy, which is one of my favorites. I told you that once.
Aww.
Come to Daddy is one of those, it needs to be seen by more people. That was a dark movie, great acting, incredible twists.
Yeah.
It was. I did not expect it. And all of a sudden you're like, what? What's going on?
Yeah.
And I remember texting my horror movie guys. You've got to watch this.
You've got horror movie friends?
Yeah, we have it every Tuesday night. We do horror movie nights.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Every week?
Every week. We've done it for many, many years.
Is it one location or do you guys all watch it in their individual homes and chime in?
No, they all come to my house in the screening room. And
this is great.
Yeah. So it started, John Heater, Napoleon Dynamite. John.
Yeah, I got to come to one of these.
You got to come. And sometimes we watch old horror films. Sometimes we try to find new good ones. We watch a lot of shitty ones. But there
it means sometimes
there are some good ones. You've done all these things and you started at such a young age, and you think, a lot of, actors starting at such a young age, you'd be jaded or you'd be disillusioned or you'd be, you had a weird childhood and mommy and daddy made you do this. And there's all sorts of ideas out there that what could have been.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
Right.
I mean, you had a relatively good upbringing.
Yes.
Comfortable. Your mom was very supportive.
Yeah.
Dad was very supportive.
Yeah. I mean, yes.
Yeah.
I have more of a relationship with my mom than I do with my dad. But
right. Because they divorced when you were like 15.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and a lot of people think, does that, when you get older, do you kind of think, oh, that had an effect on me? Do you think that had an effect on you at all?
I mean, insofar as, it probably has, without me even really being able to ascertain what lasting effect it had. At the time I was hyper aware of other friends that had deeper relationships with their fathers, right?
Right.
And recognize that that's an important male relationship and a developing person that I didn't really have. But I was okay.
Yeah.
So,
I get it.
But as a result, I was also, as cognizant as I was of missing that, I was also aware of my close relationship with my brother that felt like it kind of was a supplanting of that male relationship in a way. My brother's 7 years older than me, so I really looked up to him, and he kind of took up that mantle with grace, rather than being like, ugh, annoyed. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
He was cool, really cool. And would rent horror movies with his friends and sneak me in to watch them when I was 6 and 7 years old.
You're a big horror movie fan too, by the way.
Massive.
Okay,
yeah.
good. We can get into that
Huge.
for sure.
And then as we got older, I never got pushed away from him. So anything that he was into, he would share. A lot of music was a big thing for us. So he would share music with me. And then, by the time I was 16, 17, we were able to then go to shows and do stuff together. So I very much had that. So back to, and then my mom. I mean, my mom was, she was sort of everything. And, that sort of sense of having a relatively unrocky life as a child into my adult life was 100% credited to her. I mean, I just wasn't, she provided a lot of fundamentals that I still hold dear that kind of created a foundation for me to succeed as a human being, as well as the work that I was doing.
Right.
And a big part of that was to never be allowed to define myself by the work or define myself by the success of it.
Wow.
But rather by the person that I am or that I'm becoming.
I never learned that. I learned that if you are successful, that shows who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just sort of but it was never enough. If I did well at something, it was never enough.
Right.
It was never good enough. It was never. So all these things. So I was kind of backwards. I didn't learn until later in life. I'm talking last month. No, but not that long ago that, unconditional love and support and all those things that you get in your developmental stages, how important those are and how I didn't get those and what that caused. And so that's sort of, but you have to at some point accept and learn from that and try to become the best person you can and know that if this is successful, it doesn't mean I'm great. If this is unsuccessful, it doesn't mean I'm a piece of shit.
That's right.
You as the person.
But that's the tricky thing about this industry is that, and this industry and success.
Right.
So a couple things for my life is that I was lucky enough to not have a lot of success very quickly. So I wasn't successful overnight.
Right.
Which I think is a dangerous kind of combination.
Sure is.
Because for those who have overnight success and are suddenly a household name, oftentimes they don't have the tools to know how to process it or deal with it.
Right.
And I never had that. I was sort of slowly but surely growing in terms of people's familiarity with me in the public sphere. So that provided me with a slow understanding of what that means. So by the time that Lord of the Rings came along, which was still by and large the largest thing I've ever been a part of.
Or anyone's been a part of.
Sure. Right. Yeah, sure.
Arguably, right.
I had some experience to draw upon, and it wasn't like a shock to my system. It was new, it was bigger and broader, but I had some tools to know how to process it and kind of, keep
perspective.
That's it. It was about perspective. So yeah, and then my upbringing was, like I said, my mom was more concerned with raising me as a good human being than to being a successflike actor,
That's awesome. I mean, that's awesome.
So a lot of it was like instilling me with humility. Like she never wanted me to stand in line or like jump ahead in line at the lunch line, which oftentimes, the ADs want to rush the actors through so that they're first ones back. She never let me do that. So she'd be like, no, get in line with everybody else. She always had me hang my wardrobe, something I do to this day. A lot of it was
so important. So what he's referring to is, just to clarify, is when you're on set and at the end of the day, you could just take your wardrobe off and kind of throw it on the couch and throw it on the floor, and they just assume they're going to just pick it up and clean it for you and everything. But he's saying, Elijah, that he puts it on a hanger and he puts everything, in a nice place. So it's easier for the person who's cleaning up. So he doesn't take it's how you're raised. It's like, and there are those days where you're exhausted, you just want to take your shit up, but like just take an extra minute as out of respect.
Yep.
That's so great. I'm sure a lot of actors don't do that. I'm sure many actors don't do that.
I'm sure that's probably true too.
I can't say I've done it my whole life. Like it's never happened where I'm just like, oh fuck, I just forget and I go.
Yeah.
And you feel bad now after remembering, but that's a good quality to have. She did teach you well.
It's good, and I think it's a combination of all those things that created a sort of worldview of like how to be, both as a professional, as a human, and as a human being, and then that stuff just sticks. It's like, for a while, it's what is being asked of me from my mom, and then eventually it just becomes who I am,
Right. What about like high school and all that? Because if you're a working actor, did you go to high school?
I didn't go to a public high school.
Didn't go to public high school. Mm-hmm. Right. Do you think that any maybe it obviously helped you?
Well, look, I didn't have a typical high school experience. I didn't have a prom. My high school was entirely correspondence, because at the time I was traveling a lot, working on films. So a lot of high schools wouldn't have been stoked to have me, certainly not public ones, because I was going to be gone a lot. And so the idea was like, let's just do there's this correspondence. I can do a lot of it online. It was a school based out of Ojai. And then so all of it was like email and writing on my computer and then sending everything to my teacher.
So you didn't have a lot of interaction with people.
No.
Your interaction was on set.
My interaction was on set. Yeah.
Right.
And then I had, by the time I was like 16, I had local friends in my neighborhood. I grew up primarily in the Valley, lived in Valley Village for a while. And so had friends there that were not associated with the industry and were sort of, local friends. But yeah, I didn't have like a traditional high school experience, but I also was traveling a lot and
on set, like there'll be teachers and things like that.
Yeah,
you do totally. a lot of that. I wonder if that's actually beneficial.
I had a more focused education.
See, that's what I was going to say. I think it's more focused because when you're in school, there's 30 people in a class and you could not be paying attention, not be taking notes, but it's undivided attention. Let's talk about this. And you sort of, and the way you carry yourself is, you're sophisticated, you're articulate, and you know a lot. Obviously from the New York Times crossword puzzles. But, it's like, I think that could be very beneficial for someone growing up. I mean, they should you miss out on connection more with students and things.
It felt like it to me at the time even as well. I mean, I was certainly aware of the fact that I wasn't engaging in the kind of activities that one does in a school with kids your own age. But I was also aware too that I was getting this really focused education that I was appreciative of.
Right.
And it was also primarily pretty normal to me at that time. I had been working as an actor since I was 8. So the idea of on-set education with a tutor was common. It wasn't new. And so there wasn't any kind of adapting that needed to be required in regards to the high school part of it.
Did you ever experience like any sort of like anxiety through all this, being on sets all the time and learning lines and the pressure? And did you ever deal with anxiety?
Sure. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's funny. It's really interesting to think about it now because I kind of can't imagine how I managed to juggle those two things, because you're supposed to do 3 hours a day of school on set as sort of the requirement.
Right.
Per the union rules.
Right.
And I don't think, I mean, and so I was doing that and also remembering my lines and having enough time to divvy those two things up. I kind of can't imagine it now. I did it then.
Right.
It's sort of wild.
It's sort of
wild to think about.
They sort of think when you're younger, it's a little easier for you to remember things, to remember lines, to,
elastic brain.
Maybe it's just like you're designed for that, I guess. We're malleable. We're more malleable maybe. And I can't, like, it gets harder the older you get. The older you get, the hours on set, it's not as I mean, it depends. I don't want to say fun, but it's not like when you first start and you're young and eager and you're on a set and there's free food and they'll get you what you want and you're acting with, and you're on a hit show or a movie or whatever.
Sure.
The older you get, do you feel like it becomes more of a job now to you, or do you think you need an element of fun or something has to move you to do a role?
It definitely doesn't feel like a job anymore. Like it's not more than a job than it was, and I don't think it ever really felt like a job. No, but I mean, I think my standards for what I am there for have remained the same. It just takes wanting to, I don't know, getting really passionate about something, and that can be the role itself specifically, or it can just simply be the filmmaker, or that the whole package is really exciting and wanting to be a facilitator of that thing. A good example of that is something like Eternal Sunshine. Like, I remember, I'll never forget when my agent at the time called me and said that she had a Michel Gondry film written by Charlie Kaufman. And I almost pulled over because that was too exciting. Like, I love Charlie's screenwriting. I was a big fan of Michel Gondry's work as a director, both the first feature that he did, but obviously his music videos as well. So I was like, it doesn't even matter what it is. I'll fucking cater the thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
So a lot of it for me is just wanting to be a part of something interesting. And it's the being a part of something interesting at whatever that point of interest is. And it can, like I said, can be a combination of elements. That's creatively exciting to me, and I want to be there.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I talk about BetterHelp all the time because I just love it. They've been a sponsor for a long time, and it's so important to have therapy in your life. And if you haven't had therapy and you're worried, I don't want to meet somebody, You could do this all over the internets. You know, you don't have to go in anywhere, and it's a lot less expensive to do therapy with BetterHelp for sure. And you can change your therapist anytime. What do you want your 2025 story to be? Every January brings you 365 blank pages waiting to be filled. In 2025, maybe you're ready for a plot twist, or maybe there's a part of your story you've been wanting to revise. Life isn't about resolutions that fade by February. It's about picking up the pen and becoming the author of your own life. Think of therapy as your editorial partner, helping you write new chapters and create the meaningful story you deserve to live. Therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It helps empower you to be the best version of yourself. And it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. It's helpful for everyone. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy more affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. Access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. Easily switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. Write your story with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/inside to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/inside. Hey guys, it's me, Michael Rosenbaum, and I'm wishing you all well and saying thanks for listening to the podcast. I really appreciate it. And for those of you who really love the podcast and listen to it every week, I'm asking you to join Patreon if you'd like and support the podcast. There's a lot of patrons that really keep this podcast going, and it's thanks to them and for keeping this thing going. That's all I can say. But I just want to invite you to be a patron and support the podcast and give a little bit back if you can. There's a lot of different tiers, and it's a great community. There's so many friendships that have been built in Patreon, and I just really love that. I love to hear what a great community Patreon has. So if you want to become a patron of the podcast and give back, consider it like a cheap streamer. It's patreon.com/inside of you, patreon.com/inside of you. We could use your support, and you're the reason why we're still here. So thanks, and take care. Do you learn lines pretty easily?
I do. Yeah, I do. But I'm pretty anal about my preparation process. So yeah, I just try and give myself a lot of time just so that I don't, so on the day I'm relaxed and don't have to.
Are you good if they just hand you like a page of dialogue and it's like a little monologue and do you get nervous?
On the day, I would get nervous. On the day, that would be terrifying.
But it's happened before and I'm like, oh my God.
The good news about on the day is that everyone's aware of the fact that that's happening in the last minute. Do you know what I mean?
I would just, for now on, if somebody goes, give me a page, you're getting me a cue card. I'm just going to read it. You won't notice. Put the cue card behind the person, and I'm not going to stress myself out learning a page of dialogue right now.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Fair.
I would.
Hey, listen, that's fair given those circumstances.
That's
fair. Yeah, it's funny. I always get pretty nervous on days where there's a ton of dialogue. And then I will have given myself the right amount of time, and I often find, I've got it. I've got it more than I realize I have it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think,
and I'll try new methods too. Like I've recorded dialogue on voice notes and then listened to it back.
Yep.
And like gone for long walks and just repeat, which I found really great.
Yeah. You know what else
just
helps?
Gets in there.
I record the other person's line.
Sure.
And I'll say like, look,
and leave space for yours.
We need to take care of this right now. And then a beat, and then their line, and then a beat, and then I give my line. And until I can hit those beats and know it that fast,
that's great.
I'm not done.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, everybody has their own way of doing it.
But to your point, I still get nervous. I have dealt with anxiety in my life. I'd never had crippling anxiety to where I need medication.
Right.
It's never gotten in the way of anything,
right.
really.
Well, what helps you when you have that? What do you do? Do you exercise? Do you
exercise certainly helps. What do I do? I mean, if it's something that I'm anxious about, I try and prepare for what it is that I'm anxious about. I don't know. In some cases, there's not a whole lot you can do beyond just face it and not run away from it.
Yeah, that's key. My one of my therapists said, it's okay if anxiety's there. I go, no, it's not. No, it is. But they're in the back seat.
Yeah.
And you're fucking driving.
Yeah.
So they could be there. And then you can know, I know it, I feel it, I know you're there, but I got this.
Yeah.
You can be there. And so it kind of puts things in a perspective, like, it's okay to have that. It's going to go away.
I think it's actually really helpful when we're talking about this kind of anxiety too, not crippling anxiety.
Which I've had, yes. It's brutal.
I can imagine.
It's brutal. It's where on my 50th birthday, I went to, and I'm much better now, but I had a birthday party and we were all going to this restaurant and I could barely get there. And when I got there, I said to my friends, I'm having the worst anxiety attack right now. I've got to go. I got to just, they're like, hey, we're here. It's all good. And there were like 30 people there and they were so awesome.
Wow.
But I was miserable because it just wouldn't go away. It was just so, and I was on different meds, was trying something else and it did not work. It kind of like, made it worse.
Oof.
But I know what that's like. And it's just like, you feel this helpless feeling, but I kept saying, I know this is going to pass. I know this is why I'm experiencing it. I'm aware of this. And you just have to, sometimes talking about it helps.
Yeah.
Sometimes, especially talking to a therapist.
Talking. Yeah. I haven't been to a therapist in a while, but absolutely that helps. Panic attacks are wild. I've had a couple in my life. The first panic attack I ever had was completely unrelated to anything. I was just driving from my house to a meeting. I wasn't anxious about the meeting.
No rhyme or reason.
I wasn't thinking about it. I'd had coffee, no more than normal. Do you know what I mean? I ran through like a list of what could this be?
Right.
But I was on the phone with a friend and I had to pull over because I started this like warm feeling came into my chest. My heart rate started to rise and I was like, what is this? And it felt like anything could happen. Like I could crash the car. I could have a heart attack. Like something, it felt like this buzz of something is happening that's out of my control. So I was like, ooh, better pull over.
Yeah.
Pulled over, rolled down the window, kept this conversation going without letting the person know what I was going through. Breathed, got fresh air into the car, and it went away. But from that moment, the tricky thing about those things entering your mind is now the possibility of that is real. Like that can happen now.
Yes. Do you know how it
and your brain can go, is it happening? Is it you can start to trick yourself into
that was the worst thing that ever happened.
And it's all mental. It's not real.
Well, it happened to me on set.
Oh God.
And I was the lead and I had this big scene for the finale of the episode and it is the biggest panic attack. And we're about to film and I go, oh my God, I'm freaking out. I can't do this. I don't know. I can't control it. And I just said, hey, I really got to go to the bathroom right now. And they're like, can you wait till after this take? I go, no, I really got to go. I'm sorry.
Oh,
and I ran into my trailer and I just was like a drug addict looking for a Xanax. And I finally found it, but it doesn't work that way. It doesn't,
it's not instant. Yeah.
I don't know how I got through that day, but and
it came out of nothing, right? Or were you particularly?
I think it's a combination of exhaustion.
Yeah.
Not enough sleep.
Yeah.
Not eating right.
Those are all really important.
Worrying and everything just kind of spirals and it becomes the perfect storm and you're just like left with hell.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I got one, I thought something's wrong with me. And the doctor came in and said, have you ever had an anxiety attack before? And I go, what? And he says, I think you're having an anxiety attack. And that scared me more.
Yeah.
Because now I'm like going, when is this going to happen again?
Yeah.
Like you said,
when is this going
to happen? It's not a pleasant feeling.
No, it's awful.
No, but it's, people who listen, it really helps them knowing that people like yourself or, we've had anxiety. We're human beings. We freak out.
Totally. Totally. Dude, I'll tell you this. The first day of any film, any new film or TV show, whatever it is, first day of work, I'm always anxious. And
I think everybody is. Everybody who's on here, right?
Yeah.
They always come on and they're like, the first day. It's always the first day.
Even it's so funny. I just finished work on season 3 of Yellow Jackets. So it came back again, which was great. and I had first day jitters again. I've already been there. I know all the people. Like I know the character. There's nothing to, but fully get a feeling of I could be fired. A little bit. I don't know if it's so much imposter syndrome, but it's this feeling of
I know that.
It's a little like maybe this is when I fail. Like this is when I'm not.
Oh, this is going to happen. I'm going to embarrass myself in front of these other actors in this crew.
It happens all the time.
I'm not going to be good this time.
Yep.
I'm not going to be what they always expect.
Sure. And I, after a day where I've done it, I've like
that kind of goes away.
Expressed the character for the first time. It gets out of my system. And I'm in the new environment and I'm already kind of getting comfortable with everybody. It's generally gone in 24 hours and then I'm back and it's fine. But it without fucking fail. That it happens every time. It's unbelievable.
Maybe, and then maybe that's a good thing.
I do think it's a good thing because there's no complacency. Zero complacency.
Yeah.
I'm never phoning it in. Like I care too much to not fuck it up.
And if you're not feeling these things, a little anxious, a little bit nervous, you might be a sociopath. There's a possibility at that.
Sure.
You dressed up for the audition for Lord of the Rings? You actually, they made you dress up.
They didn't. No, it was my idea.
Who helped you with that?
So I knew that they were holding auditions. I had heard, when Peter Jackson was first announced, I was working in Austin on the faculty. I remember it was summer of '97, and so it was just announced, and they didn't start casting for like another 2 years or another year and a half. But I remember thinking it was so great that Peter was going to adapt it because I was a big fan of Heavenly Creatures and his other genre work. Anyway. My agent called and said they're holding auditions for Lord of the Rings. Peter's not going to be coming through, so it's not like a meeting. It's going to be a proper audition, like with the casting director, Victoria Burrows, who was the local casting director in Los Angeles. And I just remember feeling like this feels so significant. I need to do something different, and I just intuitively felt for me. The idea of going to a casting office where you're invariably going to be against a white sort of static office background on VHS with either the casting director or the casting director's assistant reading offlines. All fine, by the way, but that's just what it would have been. Mm-hmm. I just felt like, I don't know that that's going to be the perfect environment for me to A, be comfortable, but B, to just sort of stand out a little bit, to sort of showcase my enthusiasm and passion for it, and maybe go a little extra to sort of get a little bit more attention for it. So those were my reasons. And I said to my agent, I said, I think I'm going to do my own tape. And she was like, okay. And I'd never done this before. She's like, okay. Well, definitely do that relatively quickly. Like, be expedient about it. Like, don't just languish in the process. And then
a lot of people didn't do this. Now it's part of the norm.
But 100% that wasn't as common. Although I think a lot did for Lord of the Rings, interestingly enough.
Right.
So I went to a dialect coach. I was working on the dialect, and then I picked up. Went to the bookstore. There was a book of artistic renderings of characters from Lord of the Rings and sort of hobbits in general. And there was this sort of chapter on hobbits. And, I'd read The Hobbit. I hadn't read Lord of the Rings, but I was familiar with the idea of them even represented in animation or in drawings, the sort of like knee-high almost pants or like, quarter length, whatever, waistcoat, suspenders, that sort of thing. So went to Western Costume in the Valley and rented those things. Those sort of pants, quite similar actually to what ended up being in the film. I'd love to see the tape because it's been over 20 years since I've seen it. Then
what was your backdrop?
We shot. So my friend George Wang, who directed Swimming with Sharks.
I love that movie.
Great film.
This is Sweet and Low. Did I ask for Sweet and Low? No, I wanted this. No, damn it. There's a million people who would want your job.
Dude.
Remember that?
Oh, God, yeah.
Go ahead.
Do you know that's based on his real experience working for, I believe, Barry Josephson. And what being the assistant to a high-profile producer was like. Specifically, this person.
Oh my God! I know Barry. Really?
I believe so.
Wow.
I think that's out there. I don't think I'm revealing any. It's old news.
Yeah.
But anyway, love that movie so much. And he also helped on The Faculty, which is when I met George. And then our friend Mike, who we also met on The Faculty, was offline or was acted opposite, being played both Gandalf and Samwise. So there are 3 scenes, audition scenes. One was Gandalf, and it was slightly altered from what it was in the film. So one was like a generic Gandalf visiting Frodo at Bag End, and then 2 along at varying stages of the journey, just to showcase a little bit of the arc of Frodo's experience. So
Did you shoot on film?
No, we shot it on DV cam, but we shot the first one at my then house, and then 2 other scenes in Griffith Park, and we shot them from a variety of angles so they could be cut together like scenes proper, rather than it just being kind of one static shot. And so George then went to...
This is what it takes to be an actor.
Well, I credit George with this too, because he took the footage to the Miramax offices that night and used an extra editing bay and cut the footage together for me. So I didn't do that part of the process. So major credit to George Wang for that. And then I had, output to VHS. I had 2 VHS copies, one for myself and one to give to Victoria Burrows. I then drove that to Victoria Burrows' casting office and gave it to her. It then got FedExed to England, because I think that's where Peter was.
When did you hear back? Like, did you kind of send it going, all right, that was it, I probably won't hear back?
I sent it feeling like I put my best foot forward. I sent it feeling like it's the best I can do. Feels,
And then what happened? Inside of You is brought to you by Shopify. Everyone out there that's starting a new business, whether it's a big business or small business, you need Shopify. Shopify is so easy to use. And when I first started these podcasts, selling things like merch or whatever, I thought, how am I going to do that? And Shopify is the easiest thing you'll ever do. There's ad product, description of your product, how much it costs. You could check analytics. You could check what your best product, is doing, what your, worst product is. It's so easy to follow and navigate that I can do it, Ryan. I can do it. If you have a business idea that you've been putting off or starting, or when you started a business, it's important to give Shopify a chance to see how easy it is and help you make money. It's as simple as that. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and get your first sale.
Get your store up and running easily with thousands of customizable templates. No coding or design skills required. All you need to do is drag and drop.
The best time to start your new business is now, right now.
Shopify's powerful social media tools let you connect all your channels and create shoppable posts and help you sell everywhere people scroll.
Shopify makes it easy to manage your growing business. They help with the details like shipping, taxes, and payments for one single dashboard, allowing you to focus on the important stuff like growing your business.
What happens if you don't act now?
I guess I'll regret it.
Probably.
Yeah, what if someone beats me to the idea that I've been thinking of?
Don't kick yourself when you hear this again in a year because you didn't do anything now.
That's exactly right. Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/inside, all lowercase. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/inside, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/inside to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/inside.
The title of the book, The Talented Farter.
Yes.
That's been a theme.
Never.
This is a wonderful story about a little boy whose only gift, his only real talent is tooting. He can make his toot sound like everything you hear in everyday life. So little Michael loved Halloween, but nothing frightened his friends more than when Michael would stink up a good scare. Can you hear that?
Oh, I heard it.
It is a lovely story, and it's beautifully illustrated by my friend Heath, and Simon & Schuster's putting it out. It's going to be in tons of bookstores and available on Amazon. I'm so proud of it.
A couple months went by, and I was told that they were coming through Los Angeles, that Peter and Fran were seeing people in person that they had seen tapes of that they liked. And I was one of them. A callback, basically, right?
But you have to read again?
I did. So I went into the office, and I have to say that this is what made me emotional. Obviously, meeting Peter and Fran was a joy. I was a huge, again, like I said, huge fan of Heavenly Creatures. Fran wrote Heavenly Creatures, so it was great to meet them in person. But I remember getting to the office and waiting and speaking to someone that worked for Victoria Burroughs about the tape, and that person confirming to me that the things that I wanted to evoke came through in what I did. And to me, that was that was the win. The win was I kind of went out on a limb in a way that I haven't before, and I did this thing, and it was received in a way that by this person and conceivably by others in the way that I wanted it to. And that felt amazing.
Wow.
That felt amazing and made me kind of tear up like, oh my God, holy shit, I did this thing. And it really came across.
Because you could have easily put all that hard work and most of the time it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And then you met with Peter.
There are plenty of people that made
people.
tapes for themselves, even on Lord of the Rings, which, like you said, it was not in the era of self-tapes in the way that things are. It's almost more self-tapes than in-person auditions now.
It is. But then you met Peter.
So I met Peter, auditioned. So I think I did a scene or two for them. And then it was, I don't remember the timeline. A month later, I got a call from my agent who said, stay by the phone, you're going to get another call.
And you knew something.
I knew something. And then the phone rang, and it was Peter's assistant at the time, Jen Blanken, who said, hi, I have Peter Jackson on hold on the line for Peter Jackson. And I'm like,
you look like you're a little bit emotional thinking about that now. Just
so wild. And then Peter gets on the phone and, he said, hello, Elijah, would you like to come down to New Zealand and play the role of Frodo? And that was it. And I was like, yeah.
Did you cry after?
No. But I hung up the phone and jumped around a bunch and, probably screamed at the top of my lungs and then, told my mom, who was also knew that something was happening,
Was that the biggest moment of your life?
At that point, yeah.
Besides, obviously, having a child.
At that point, it was the biggest moment of my life because it felt like, even that, without knowing what it was going to become, because there's no way any of us could have known that it would be embraced in pop culture in this significant way in cinema. But at that moment, I knew that I was about to embark on a journey unlike anything I'd experienced before to be a part of something truly special and quite massive in scale. And I knew that. I remember meeting Sean for the first time. We ran into each other at a hotel in LA, coming and going from a wig fitting. And we ran into each other in the lobby and instantly embraced. I'd never met him.
He's that kind of guy, isn't he?
And
so lovable.
They're the best. And we just instantly hugged each other because we knew we were about to go on this thing together. It was already bonding,
Yeah.
And he asked me, he's told the story many times, but he was like, he just said to me, are you ready? Are you ready for this? And I said, yeah, which he was really amused by at the time that he subsequently talked about because he was like, he really seemed ready. And I think he was.
Jeez, it's just...
Yeah.
Some other cool things I got to bring up just because I think it's cool. You worked with Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries on 2 videos. I love the Cranberries.
I didn't actually get to meet her though.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't get to meet her. So
were you a big Cranberries fan?
I was a fan. Yeah,
me too.
And the video was for Ridiculous Thoughts that Samuel Bayer directed. Samuel is extraordinary because notably, he directed the Smells Like Teen Spirit video.
Wow.
So that was cool for me.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, I got to work with this guy who directed such an iconic piece of popular culture from one of the great bands of all time. So that was amazing. And it was intense and fun and it was great. And I was a fan of the band. And the song's cool and the album's great. I love this. The lead single "Zombie" was great.
I mean,
to get to be a part of that was a treat.
And it seems like you were the go-to being in a music video guy because you like did the Beastie Boys "Make Some Noise." You did "Forever Your Girl," Paula Abdul. First job was the Paula Abdul. David Fincher directed that.
Mm-hmm.
How was he then?
I have no recollection.
None. Because you were probably like what, 6?
I was 8. And he hadn't made a film yet. So there was no it's David Fincher yet, It's just Dave. It was just
Dave Fincher.
The director on set. He was great from what I remember. I don't know that, the reputation for 100 takes had happened yet.
Not on Forever Your Girl.
But my memory was of getting to meet and work with Paula Abdul,
she's a friend. She's
amazing. She's so sweet.
She's so sweet. Yeah.
She's so sweet.
All right. This is Shit Talking with Elijah Wood. These are my top tier patrons to get to ask questions, rapid fire if you want. Patreon.com/inside of you. If you want to support the podcast.
I love the name of your podcast.
Inside of You?
It's great.
Howard Stern mentioned it one time. He goes, this interview is from the Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum podcast. A double entendre there? What is that? And I was like,
of course he would.
Yeah. Charlie, who are your heroes? Or who's a role model? Or who, as a child, was a role model? Who's one now? Any of those?
Heroes. I mean, music tends to be...
You love music.
Yeah. And my heroes are probably mostly in music. Oh, man.
Favorite band of all time?
Of all time? It's hard to beat the Beatles of all time.
Yeah. It might be.
Modern bands, I also think it's hard to beat Radiohead, just in terms of a run from certainly the Bends until now is just, it's irrefutably great. There isn't a misstep,
I'd say Depeche Mode.
Depeche Mode?
The Cure.
Yeah, sure.
Love those guys.
Yeah, me too. I mean,
it's endless. It's
I'm
hard.
The probably favorite artist of all time is Prince.
Yeah.
That run from the late 70s until 89 is perfect and extraordinary and constantly surprising and amazing and influential.
What are you playing in your car if you turn on music usually?
What I do a lot now is I'll do like my liked songs on Spotify on random, because it's like 2,000 songs. It's a lot over time. And it's all stuff that I really like. I don't know. I don't have a go-to of what I listen to in the car.
But you like 80s, you like 90s, I
love jazz. I mean, I love everything. My musical taste is...
Yeah, I'm all over
I'm
the board.
less exclusionary than I am inclusionary. I love all music.
Flirtatious B says, if you weren't an actor, where do you think you'd be right now? Well, musician. You're a musician.
I feel like it would be something creative. What I get most in some ways out of working in film and TV is the creative process, is working with a group of people towards a common creative goal. I like the collaboration of that. I like working with people. In many cases, people more talented than I am to like be inspired by and draw from and be lifted by.
Yeah. Always surround yourself with smarter people, I say.
Totally.
Smarter, more talented people. And that's going to lift you. It's going to elevate you.
Totally. And I love that creative process. I love being on a film set and like seeing something come together and being a part of that machinery. So if it weren't in film, if I wasn't an actor, it would have to be I would imagine some creative process.
Raj says, what are you most grateful for?
Wow.
These are not easy.
No. What am I most grateful for? I mean, Jesus, man, the list is endless. Like, my gratitude runs deep.
I know.
I wouldn't be the person that I am without my mom. I'm beyond grateful for my family and my kids and my wife. Like, they are such an extension of me. They are the most important people in my life.
There you go.
I'm so grateful for I'm so grateful for my collective experiences that have led me to where I am now, that have shaped the human that I am and have shaped me as a creative person, you know?
Ben J, The Oxford Murders is a terrific movie. How did you get involved with this movie, and do you have any John Hurt stories? So you could just, if you want.
John was great. John was intimidating.
Yeah, he
was intimidating, but in that kind of he didn't mean to be. He was sweet, but just, you know,
intense.
Intense. He carried himself with an intensity, and he didn't necessarily like give you a ton of warmth, but he was lovely, and we had a lot of dialogue together, and he was great. I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to work with such a legend, and he was awesome. My only regret is that I didn't get to see him after that. You know, we made that film together. There were a couple of exchanges about trying to see each other, and that never happened.
I've got to see this movie.
The film came together because of Alex de la Iglesia, who's a legendary genre filmmaker in Spain. He's made many horror and genre films over the years, and is sort of like kind of the godfather of that in the modern sense. And he reached out with this script and had a great deal of enthusiasm. I really wanted to work with him, and that's kind of how it happened. Yeah.
Rozzy, what's a unique memory you have about working on Wilfred?
Oh man, Wilfred was so great. I mean, 4 years of 3 months out of the year having a giggle, you know, like unbelievable crew. That was pretty much the same for 4 years.
Wow.
We had the same filmmaker, Randall Einhorn. No, you know this from TV. TV, it's like every 2 episodes there's a new director. With Wilfred, a precedent was set very early on that Randall was going to do the whole thing, but it wasn't planned that way.
Jeez, that's difficult.
So Randall did the first 4, I think, and then another director came in and did 2, and then Randall came back, and then nobody else came. So it ended up being that Randall was going to be the sole director, and he did all of it, which was very unique. As you know, in TV, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So what that does is it sets an environment that is
consistent.
It's consistent. There's a especially if the person is lovely and great, which Randall is. He's the fucking best. He's one of my best friends. That creates a really fun atmosphere where the ship also is being steered by someone that everybody trusts. So there's this great sense that you're all heading in one direction together, which in TV, you know, there's a lot of different voices at times. So that was lovely, like the lovely consistency of it, and a you know, an atmosphere that rises or that descends from the top. And he was so great, and everybody at FX was great. Memories that stand out. I mean, you know, every day was some absurd sequence with Jason Gann as Wilfred. And the fun thing about that character and that what Jason brought to it was the character is always changing, because it's always like he's fucking with Ryan. He's a mad scientist in one scene. He's something
I'm always
else
fucking
in
with
another.
Ryan. I'm always fucking with Ryan. And we
go.
call him the Ryan.
You know.
And we call him the Ryantist on the other show.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So like, you know, there was always this really fun, what's it going to be next? And also just being, you know, the recipient of that madness, because the dynamic is such that my character was not driving the ship. It was Wilfred, and I'm reacting and having to, you know, keep up appearances. It was just it was a joy. He didn't love being in the suit. Fair enough. It was fucking hot as shit.
Yeah, that's gotta be tough.
But we had so much fun. I could have kept doing that for years. It was just a joy.
Man.
It was really fun. My favorite bits, we did this thing called the Couch Beats, which seasons 1 through 3, every episode ended with them on the couch with some dumb joke, getting high. And we would film all of them in one sequence in like a day, because they're just these like 30-second pieces, little, like it'll either be a sight gag or it'll be a funny thing that someone says.
Right.
So we just shoot them all, and we would have like, you know, here's another idea. And there'd be like new script pages just for these couch beats, which are just essentially ways to interject a joke at the end credits. And Randall had this beautiful idea of shooting on super long lenses. So the camera would be like 100 feet away on like a 400 prime.
So it just compresses everything.
And then we're on this couch.
Yeah.
It was rad.
That's cool.
And it was
man.
a gas, man. Just like stupid, silly shit on this couch.
I could tell how much fun. It's like you want to be there again right now.
It's really fun.
That's awesome.
Really, really fun.
What's next, if you're allowed to talk about anything?
Sure. What is next? Well, season 3 of Yellow Jackets just finished it. You
love those ladies?
Oh, they're great. And look, this is the first example of something that they'd done a season of TV.
Mm-hmm.
I watched it as a viewer. I'm good friends with Melanie Linsky and adore everything that she does. So I was like, I'm definitely watching this. And I love the whole cast.
Yeah.
Christina
They're
Ricci,
all great.
and everybody. So I watched it as a fan and loved it. And then got the call that there was a role that they were thinking of me for, which was just a thrill. That was had never happened for me. I'd never been a previous watcher of something and then get to join the thing that I already enjoy. So that has been really, really fun. And just to play in that sandbox is great. And I bear none of the, at least so far anyway, although maybe it's going to be different this season. I bear very little of the narrative weight, you know, certainly in that first season that I was in.
Much more fun.
It's just, it was a little bit like the comic relief.
Yeah.
A little bit more interesting this season. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But that's fun too. It's just to kind of come into something and have a fun character that doesn't necessarily bear that responsibility. There's a movie that I made. So the filmmaker, in fact, the creative team behind Come to Daddy, we went and made another movie in New Zealand last year called Bookworm that is now out. It's on streaming and it's in select theaters.
Thriller kind of?
Just came out. No, it's totally different, but it's written by the same writer.
I'm going to check that out.
It's Ant Timpson directed it. Our same DP shot it. So it's very much the same creative team. And I was like, let's just do this again.
Yeah.
This is a father-daughter in the wilderness story of an estranged father who's been estranged from his daughter reconnecting as she drags him out into the wilderness to find this mythical Canterbury panther, which is an actual thing in New Zealand.
Wow.
It's an actual myth anyway. And he's a failed magician who's joining his daughter, trying to woo her over with his magic skills and fails miserably because she's a precocious young 11-year-old who like puts him in his place and has no patience for him. So it's got the essence of it is the kind of comedy of Come to Daddy. There's a lot of shared similarities, but without the darkness. So it's rated PG. It's for everyone. It's genuine, like all kids, all family entertainment for everybody.
Great.
But
I want to be in something that those guys do.
They're great. I mean,
awesome.
We're hoping to do another. There's like this. It's like a loose.
Come Back to Daddy.
Well, it's like a loose dad trilogy. This is another in a series. Well, is the next film is this movie, right? So it's like Come to Daddy is a guy reconnecting with his dad. It's not his dad.
You just gave it away, but
whatever. Fucking.
It doesn't matter. Just go see it. Come to Daddy.
Shit goes crazy, and then this one is another father story. So there's probably going to be a third eventually.
I like it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Dude, this has been awesome. You're amazing.
Oh,
I could talk to you forever. This is so
same.
easy.
This has been really fun.
Yeah, it's been great. So
I'm glad we could finally make this happen.
Yeah,
We literally have been. And I said to you 2 years ago, I said, don't stop pestering me because I might. I've just got a lot of other things focused on. I might not.
Oh yeah, I know.
And thank you for pestering me.
But also on the plane, I was walking in the plane maybe a month or two ago. And all of a sudden I hear, fine, I'll do your podcast. And I go, who is that? And I look over and it's him just smiling with his wife going, give me a thumbs up. And I thought it was so funny. You've been awesome.
Thanks, dude.
Thanks, buddy.
I really appreciate it.
Elijah, thanks for coming on, man. You're a mensch. You're a gem. We loved having you on. So super duper, huh?
So cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's awesome, man. If you guys like this podcast, please support us and join Patreon, patreon.com/inside of you. I'm going to read out the top tier patrons to end the show. These are the folks that give back. It's like a streamer, you know, and they like support this show and keep it going. So as long as they're around, I'll keep doing the show. And there's the leaf blower. So let's just get into it. Let's just go right into it. Little leaf blowing in the background with my favorites. Mm-hmm. Nancy D, Little Lisa, Yukiko, Brian H, Niko P, Rob L, Jason W, Sophie M, Raj C, Jennifer N, Stacey L,
Jamal F, Janelle B, Mike Eldanzsupremo, 99 more, Santiago M, Maddie S, Kendrick F, Belinda N, Dave H.
You mean Dave Hall? Hello, Dave Hall. I love you, Dave. Brad D, Ray Harada. I sent all these guys boxes during the holidays. Presents. Tabitha T, Tom N, Talia M, Betsy D, Rhiannon C, Michelle A, Jeremy C, Eugene and Leah. Love the salty ham, of course. Mel S, Eric H, Oracle, Amanda R, William K. Hello, William K.
Kevin E, Jor L, Jammin J, Leanne J, Luna R, Jules M, Jessica B, Kaylee J, Charlene A, Marion Louise L, Romeo, The Band, Frank B, Jen T.
April R, Sandy S, Claudia, Rachel D, Nick W, Stephanie and Evan, known as
Stefan,
Charlene A, Don G, Jenny B, 716, ENG Tracy, Keith B, Heather and Greg, Grether, Ellie K, Ben B Jammin, Pierre C, Sultan, hello Sultan, and Ingrid C, Pierre C, Christina S, Dave T, Dave L, hello Dave L and Dave T, Jill B, hello, Jill B. and Jeff G. A lot of noises here today, Jeff G. But thanks for supporting the podcast. We love you. Patreon.com/Insidey if you want to join. A lot of perks, a lot of fun. And from the Hollywood Hills in Hollywood, California, I'm Michael Rosenbaum.
I'm Rod Hill.
We love you. Happy freaking New Year. Glad to be back. A little wave to the camera. And as every year we do, every episode, be good to yourself. This is going to be a good year. You're going to get through some tough times and you're going to go through some great times. So let's shoot for the highs, baby. All right. We'll see you next week.